This is Gabriel Masudi, and you're listening to Learn, Unlearn, Optimize.
I just wanted to jump on here real quick and spontaneously record something I've been thinking about. And it's living like I'm single. Now, when I say living like I'm single, of course, there's nothing but trust and integrity in my relationship with my wife. And that's the glue that holds us together. But what there's not is I don't have any expectations. I have no expectations of her to show up ever. And during my visualization process, what I'll do is I'll strip it back to as if I was single. So I strip it back, okay, what needs to be done? Like, I'd still have to do all this laundry. I would still provide a roof over my head. I would still want to organize, love my systems, I need air conditioning or heat, clean water source. I want my coffee or my cacao, right? My routines, the things that I have to do daily to survive. I would need a profession. I would need something that I devote my life to, that creates my time, my life, that creates my identity in society. I would still have that, regardless of my relationship status, regardless of if my wife was in my life or not. These are things that I would do. Then in my visualization, I add on my children. So God forbid I was a single father, or God forbid, regardless of my relationship status. So now I have my children in the mix. What would I do? I would get up every day. I would still have to change a diaper. I would still have to prepare a bottle. I would still, suck snots out of nose, get kids to school or whatever happens. I would still not be able to do certain things that I want to do in my life, and I would get to sacrifice, or I would get to show up for my children and still not do certain things. And that has nothing to do with my wife. That's because of the choices I've made to be a father and the things that I get to complete and that I get to handle as being the best father I could be. Now what I do is I plug my wife into the equation in my mind. And where she shows up, which is tons of places and often, and she's like glue that holds us together, I have nothing but gratitude. When she comes into my life, I have nothing but gratitude when she shows up. So when I get another set of hands or another brain or another person in my life that is here because they choose to be here and they choose to be in service, and there's no pressure or obligation, I don't have any control or like weird energy towards her that she's supposed to be doing these things, or like she has to do this, and like you married me, and like this is, or we decided to have kids, or like that's my time, this is your time, and like all that shitty stuff. That just is just completely non-productive for me. And by having this mindset, what it's done is it's shifted me to a place of just being completely neutral. So we're all human. I have bad days. You have bad days. My wife has bad days. So like, if someone's off for a day or something, there's no expectation. If someone wants to do something or doesn't want to do something, there's no expectation. That's completely on her to show up or not show up. And that, for me, creates this space of loving. It creates this space of being able to just flow with her and just be in service. And I know every day that she's choosing to do the same for our family, and that she's choosing to do the same for me and showing up in our relationship as a committed, loving wife, because there's no expectation and there's no pressure for her to have to do so. Because if I wasn't around, she would handle all this stuff. If I wasn't here, all this stuff would still get done. And as a man, I make sure that I set my family up, and I have things that I want to get more into on different podcasts as to how I make sure my family's set up, and as to how I make sure that my wife would be set up or would have an easier time. God forbid I wasn't around. But don't get it twisted. If I wasn't here, life would still go on. And as crazy as that is, or as sad as that may seem, like sometimes I'll look at my girls, or I'll look at my son, I'll look at my entire family sitting at a table and be like, man, if I wasn't here, like, yeah, of course they'd miss me, but it'd be business as usual, man. Life would go on and they would figure it out. So this is where the paradox comes in for me, because it's like a riddle. So by taking better care of myself and by showing up 1,000% for myself, it enables me to take 1,000% accountability and responsibility for my actions and the things that I'm doing. And then it allows me to have zero expectations for anyone else around me. I should say it enables me to have zero expectations from my wife, right? And obviously my kids, like, they're children, so I'm not putting that pressure on them. But the trap is where I've gotten into in the past is when I was single, and this could happen like even if you're committed to someone, like I said, and you're not even like, if this just with friendships or other types of relationships in my life that I've had, is to where, like, if I didn't protect my calendar and my time, I can fill that with these other influences, or I can fill that with other busyness and other noise. Or in other relationships that I've had in my past before I'd like really decided to work on myself back when I was way younger, I would try to complete myself with another person. And that's just a trap, because before you know it, like, think about it. Oh, if I was single, or if I didn't have kids, or if I didn't have a wife, I would do X, Y, this bullshit. Because if you didn't do it already when you were single and you didn't have the discipline to do that, you're not going to do it now. It's a world of infinite possibilities. So like, I get to expand my plate, and I don't get to be resentful to my wife. I don't get to be resentful to my family. I get to live in abundance and figure out how I get to have it all. And that's what I'm doing. And so I get to live my life the same way. I get to travel. I'll get to do whatever I want, open my businesses, right? But I get to take responsibility for it, and I get to step up as a father. And by taking responsibility for myself and stepping up as a father, then I get to step up as a husband. So I don't want to hear like falling into that trap as an excuse that you have children, or you have a wife, or if your circumstances were different. Because our circumstances don't define us. It's our discipline, it's our commitment, and the committed action. So like, when I was younger, back to that, like, watch out for that trap of, oh shit, like, I'm single now, I got in a relationship, and like, it was cool in the beginning, but now all of a sudden it's weird, and now all of a sudden, like, I'm asking permission, and now all of a sudden, like, I'm wondering, like, it's like, I'm like resentful because I want to do this, but they want to do that, and I'm not really doing what I want to do, and I'm not living, like, that shit sucks. There's no space and there's no time for that, and that's just a downward spiral. And then, like, also in the past, like, checking myself, like, what my come from was with parenting, like, was it really out of 1,000% love for my son? Or was it like, oh, I'm going to prove that I'm going to be the best dad I can be because I have a need to be right? So like, just watch the come from. Watch the come from. And make sure that's like 1,000% for you to be the best version of you can be, and 1,000% to show up, if you have a family, for your kids. And in my experience right now, by doing that, I give my wife no expectations. And because I have no expectations of her, or some weird control, or some like wanting to like have a hold over her, like, we need to do this. No. She chooses every day to be in this. I choose every day to be in this. And because of that, I don't have this codependency thing to where she defines me. My wife defines who I am. My wife is part of my identity because of the pride, because of the love, because of the trust, and because of I know what we've created with this family. And that's the identity that I carry into the world. That's the way that she fits into my life. So I felt compelled to share this. It's something that's been working really well for me. It's helped me to stay super calm. It's been helping me to not get upset about things that really, when I did, had nothing to do with her, or really had nothing to do with anyone else. I just set myself up because I have expectations, or I didn't plan well, right? And if you don't plan, you plan to fail. So that's my 2 cents for today, man. I hope it maybe helps somebody out there and resonates with you. Any questions, leave a comment, hit me back. Peace, guys.